My name is John Henry O'Neal Jr. If you really truly knew me, you call me JJ, but now everybody calls me Grateful. My earliest memories is living with my mom and living with my brother. I grew up in the Super Nintendo, red light, green light, hopscotch generation, right? My mother was addicted to crack cocaine, my father was addicted to crack cocaine, and my brother J-roc was one of the biggest drug dealers in our city. So I remember being in 5th grade and I was sitting in the class, and at this time, my 5th grade girlfriend comes in the class and I'm sitting there and she's like, I gotta tell you something. And I'm like, all right, what's up? She was like, and she paused and I looked at her and she was like, they killed J-roc. I remember it was like the whole world stopped. In my mind, he was a superhero. He couldn't be hurt. That's when like a switch went off. I ended up getting assault and battery my freshman year in high school. Things just went, from worse to worse to worse. I remember my mother telling me that when she saw me, she could see death on me. So it's now my life is like, is in this cycle where I'm getting high, getting drunk, going to clubs, fighting, all this kind of stuff. This became like an everyday lifestyle. I remember going into the house, I was drunk, I was high, and I got into it, we were just arguing. And the police were called. And the next thing I remember, I was getting maced. I ended up getting maced 3 times that night. I woke up in a jail cell. Even though I was doing all these things that I shouldn't be done, I always felt like I did it in a smarter way. I thought that I would never go to jail. It was about my 3rd month in there. At this point, my daughter was 3 years old. She would come visit me every weekend. I remember the door swinging open and my daughter ended up running into the visitation room. And she went over there and she started banging on the window. She started crying, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." And looking at her, I just broke. It took me to, I guess in that moment, to realize that how much pain I was causing her. I think that's what God used because he knew that's what worked. February, I get out of jail, and I had a friend that I grew up with. When I seen him again, we kind of, was talking about things we had been through, and I was telling him I had rededicated my life, and he was telling me how he had went to the penitentiary and now he was pastoring and things of that nature. Every year, he would go back to his prison. So we go there, I spoke, I did my music ministry part of it. Then it was time for the altar call, and we end up on our knees. It's me right here, and it's some guy that I don't even know. And the guy looks at me and he said, "Hey man, I want to apologize." I say, "Okay, apologize for what?" He said, "Man, I want to apologize. I'm the one that killed your brother." I was in 5th grade when my brother got killed. And I just think about how much had to happen from going to jail, from the pastor being the guy that I knew that also was in the penitentiary, and for that to be the same prison at this time, for me to meet the guy that killed my brother. I sit there, I look at him, and I say to him what I've been wanting to say to him for years. I say, "I forgive you." It was 20 plus years that God constructed step by step. The times that I've told this story, I've been asked, why did you forgive them? How did you forgive them? When I forgave him in person, that wasn't the heart for forgiveness happening, because God had already given me the heart for forgiveness. Sometimes you think that you've let go of stuff, or sometimes you think you've overcome stuff, and then when you're put into the situation, you learn that, nah, you still hanging on the anger and this, that, and the other. The forgiveness didn't just come from the fact that I know that I was forgiven, because before I known I was forgiven, I knew that I was loved. It came from When I first gave my life to Christ for the first time, I felt the love of God. I would say to people that the only way that you will be able to forgive those you deem unforgivable is only gonna come through first having an encounter with Christ to experience His love. Everything else is a byproduct.